Okay, welcome.
Welcome, welcome everyone.
Yeah, welcome us two. That probably the only two that'll watch this for the next 10 years. But
No,
yeah,
don't put that out there.
this
No.
is we shouldn't be putting out bad stuff out there.
Already touching the
Anyways,
mic. I'm sorry. There we go.
yep, touching the mic, I can hear that. What do you want me to do when you do that?
I just gotta not touch it. I just got
Okay.
nervous and started adjusting it.
I'll blink fast when you start doing it.
Yeah, no, it's. I gotta just not touch it. I won't touch it.
All right, don't touch the mic. Anyways, this is our first ever podcast. It's actually our second podcast. Our first one took off, and we decided to do a second one because our first podcast was huge,
Yep.
and we didn't want that kind of notoriety right off the bat. So, but no, uh, nothing. We didn't take off yet. I don't think, but no, it's just
We got like 3 views. No big
we got
deal.
3 views. That's
I don't know.
That's a lot.
That's the last time I checked. Could be 4.
That's more than 3. So that's good. We're doing it. But no, we're here. This is it's not it's not part of the podcast. Don't Google because it's not going to come up. It's Middle Way Podcast. This is my little brother. You can tell because he's little. No, you can't tell at all. Garrett.
Yep.
And I'm Brant, his older brother. We don't even really look the same. No, we're pretty different looking.
You got more dad's features. I got more mom's.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, our nose is probably pretty similar, but yours is fucking broken.
Mine's very big and broken and crooked.
Yeah.
If I get the light right, it doesn't look broken.
That's true.
But if it also looks very broken. You can see the dent. Yeah. Yep. So Middle Way Podcast.
Middle Way Podcast. We're here.
Yep.
We're doing this. Why are we doing this, Garrett?
Yeah. Well, so we started meeting once a week about 9 months ago. We meet every Monday. And yeah, in that time, we've kind of just become each other's therapists. So we've started talking about, we first started reading books, and then we started just meeting just to talk. It started with, we'd read books and then we review the book that we were reading, and then it evolved into just like us having a chat. And sometimes I think the shortest one was about 45 minutes, and the longest one, I think we stayed on the phone for like almost 4 hours a few times. Just talking about life, talking about what we're going through. Just self-discovery journey, like trying to become the best men that we can be, and help and support each other in that journey has kind of led to this podcast. The whole idea behind it is mainly for us to have fun, because this is fun.
Yeah, it is fun.
But yeah, it's weird. It is like, it's something I wanted to do for a long time, and maybe that's why I feel so. Yeah, I feel like giddy right now. Yeah, which is good.
I look at it as a hobby. It's a good, healthy hobby. To practice the English language too is important. Talking in general is important. Just like we just talked about that earlier. So
yeah. Communication. That's what we've been working on. So we grew up together, and we were brothers. Yeah, I know. Like, we weren't separate or anything. But we grew up together, and then we kind of went our separate ways after high school time, and then now we've, I'm 31 now. You're 35, right? 36.
Yeah.
Yep, and I'm about to turn 32. So yeah, we're about 4.5 years apart. But yeah, somehow life has landed up where we're back communicating a lot and helping each other work through the habits and things that have held us back, which are rooted in very similar places because we had a very similar childhood. You just had probably more, I would say, of a, you know, tougher time as the older sibling. You know, it always takes the brunt. It seems, you know, the parents are working out how to be parents, you know, and I know our parents divorced at a young age, and you know, you protected me from a lot of that stuff, you know, like, and it was, yeah, that's kind of, we can get into all that in later in the episode or in episodes, but to keep it on point, this is the longest fucking intro ever. Let's keep it on point.
The reason you want to bring 5 minutes. So.
Yeah, well, talking's great. Talking, yeah, you can fit a lot of words in seconds, which is nice.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we decided to start this podcast as like kind of a way of, you know, we listen to a lot of podcasts. We listen to a lot of successful people that are kind of already at the top of the mountain, you know, looking for their own different mountains, whatever. But like, they're speaking from a place of, you know, in hindsight, you know, they've already kind of achieved it, already kind of done it. And with this podcast, we hope to kind of distill some of that information, make it a little more applicable to people who are just getting started. We're both in a place in our life, like, where we're building, we're growing. We're not where we want to be, you know, as men financially, you know, like, but we know we're capable, and we know like that it takes discipline and hard work and staying consistent, you know, and like surrounding yourself with like-minded people to get to those next levels, the next versions of ourselves. And that's what we started talking about like months ago, is just ways and better ways we could support each other being better men, you know, like for showing up better for ourselves and for our family, you know, but especially for ourselves, you know, that's where the root of it is. Hope to inspire some people. Yeah,
because really, like, everything is out there for everybody. Like, if you want to change anything about yourself, it's out there. There's guidance from certain people, all kinds of mentors and leaders out there. And I guess, like, to add on to your point is like, we've kind of sifted through a lot of those. We don't know everybody, obviously. We still discover people every day. Mm-hmm. And if we can, like, for me, because I'm no expert in anything, maybe fucking up, but I don't know if I should swear on. No, why?
Yeah, dude, I'm swearing. You gotta swear.
Yeah. Our four followers will be disappointed. Our mom and dad.
No, we can clip it out and add bleeps later.
Yeah. But yeah, so, and that's where we're at. We're in the middle, and that's kind of another thing we want to talk about, is why we named it the Middle Way Podcast. And that's, I mean, we're in the middle of life. We're both middle-aged. Well, I guess we're young still. I would consider us young still. But we both, like, really haven't accomplished. I mean, we've accomplished a lot. We shouldn't be so hard on ourselves. But we're not, like you said, we're not where we want to be as men. And you said financially, that's one thing, but just as men in general, just being the best versions of ourselves, that's what we're working on. And I hope, like I hope it does reach some people. If we can help somebody a day, you know, or a month, a year, whoever can see this, like, because we're going to talk about the actions we take, like, every week, on how we're getting better. And that's going to help us. That's going to make us more accountable. Like, for me, especially, instead of just sitting here doing nothing, I'm always going to have, all right, well, Monday, we're going to have our podcast. What am I going to talk about? What am I going to bring up? That's really going to, like, I think that's a big motivator for this podcast. Starting this with you, we talked about it since it's probably been a year now, right? Wasn't it like last October, November or something?
I think that's when we started like talking about all of this stuff, and then we picked a book, and then we started reading. And I don't know thought about looking back in the calendar. I could probably find the day we did the first like official meeting, like
Yeah.
masterminds meeting, where we sat down and just talked about life. But I think that was about 9 months ago. So I feel
Nine
like we're
months.
close to a year of like kind of this idea. We've talked about a
Yeah.
podcast probably way before we even started talking like monthly meeting,
Well,
because we were doing like we would talk every like couple months, and then we'd have like a 3 hour conversation. Remember that?
yeah.
And then it kind of like turned into we should meet more often, like, and
Yeah.
then it was reading books like just got us started, and then we started we started just holding space for each other. I think that's the main thing we've done.
Yeah. Cuz we didn't really talk much at all. Like you said, after high school and everything, like
Yep.
we all totally went our separate ways, doing our own things. We'd see each other around holidays and stuff like that. But it was nothing like the relationship I think that I feel like we've developed over these like 9 months or whatever it's been. And I think that's important. Like not a lot of people. Like, I think that's where we're fortunate in having each other to be able to talk. Even just a little conversation I had before this with you was helpful. And every time I talk to you, it's helpful. I think like that's one of the reasons I think we should do this, because I truly believe you have a ton of great things to say. Like you're very good at that, and like I think people need to hear it. And I mean, not like I don't know, like you're way more articulate than I am at this kind of stuff, and I think it's important. I know it's a good thing for you too to keep you balanced or kind of like going in the right direction as well. So, but yeah.
Yeah.
Do you want to
Yeah.
talk about why? Well, that was kind of like the middle way, why we named it the middle way.
Yeah, it's kind of got multiple meanings. You explained very well the middle, or kind of just in the middle of our lives. We've woken up to the past, and like what we don't want to be, but we haven't really gotten to where we want to get to. So it's kind of we're like kind of right in the middle of like implementing these things we're here and trying things out. Adding them into our routines or whatever, like building a routine, even. Like we're kind of at the beginning or right in the middle of like realizing this stuff is important, and then now like how do we implement it? So like, yeah, and I think it's just it's going to help people because I appreciate the acknowledgement, because I feel like this is a long time coming for me. It's been years that I've talked about starting a podcast, and I listen to podcasts every day. Like I can't,
Yeah.
like, thousands, tens of thousands of hours probably at this point, and like I have a lot to say, like, and I think everyone does, and I think we all need to talk more, and we need to be
Yeah.
able to have helpful conversation, intentional conversations. I think that's the root of what we have done. We've created a space for intentional conversations. Like everyone kind of like does the check-in, like the how you doing, everything okay. It's kind of like the yeah, like if it's whatever. It's just like the common thing, like
Mm-hmm.
just be like, yeah, you good, yeah, whatever. And it's like everyone's kind of always struggling with something, but we don't often hold space, and create that opportunity to talk about the struggles, the things we need help with the most, and it's like you could be surrounded by people that are all going through the same shit, but like we don't talk about it. So how are we all going to help each other? And it's like we're all fighting to win the same race. And it's like if we just helped each other, we would all get there so much faster. And I think that's a big part of like what this is about. I think it was Andrew Huberman. It was someone recently I heard talking about the benefits of just having a podcast. Like,
Yeah.
even if no one listens to it, like just do a podcast with yourself, because talking with the understanding that other people are going to listen to it helps separate you from the ideas and helps you analyze them and helps you like work on like articulating your thoughts and ideas and like solidifying your beliefs and your values and all of these things, like by reiterating what you're saying and what you believe, and practicing that. And if you don't like create a space for that, you're never really going to practice that. And it's like I've just talked more, like I've been on a couple podcasts, like I've practiced this more, like you're getting there, man. Like your communication has improved a lot over the last year, especially the last 9 months of us talking. Like there's times where you'll go on an idea that, for 20 minutes and like you didn't used to do that, and like there's like you're getting out of your shell, and like that's an important part of this too, is like you're fucking capable too, and just like everyone else is too. Like it's like, and that's like what this shit is. Like we're talking to fucking ourselves, the normal fucking people. Everyone, just anyone could take something from this, I feel like, because it's just two guys, being honest about their journey and struggle and trying to support each other through it, and being there, showing people examples of what that might look like. Like everyone's shit's going to be different, but here's our example, and it's gotten us somewhere. Like,
yeah, I hear you. It's not easy, like especially like being a man, like talking about our feelings and stuff like that is something I don't like doing. It feels kind of weird to me still, but I know it's important. It's important to talk about that with, in my opinion, with someone you can talk about it with.
yep.
But I get, like you're saying, like we need to, because everybody is going through something. Like every single person, you could see it in their face. You can, and we tend not to even question them or anything. Usually, you ask somebody how they're doing at a bar or wherever, it's just good, doing good.
Yep.
But I mean, I don't really discourage that. I mean, it's tough. It's not. You could say you're good, but I think what you said though, like having a podcast with yourself, talking to yourself, I think that does help. I think it really does. Just having conversations mentally. I think talking out loud is almost better than just thinking about it, even, because then you kind of get distracted. But I don't know. I guess this is our experiment towards that. So,
Yep. Yeah, journaling. It's another
journaling.
form of journaling. Like that's
that does help.
That's helpful.
Too.
Yeah, it takes your thoughts and puts them somewhere else. So at least a lot of shit that we go through, like we can't control. Like, and it does suck, and life is hard. Like, and there really isn't anything that anyone's gonna tell you that's gonna make that feel better. Like it's, and like that's not what you need. You don't need to be coddled. Sometimes it's nice to be like reminded everything's gonna be okay, and have that mom voice. Like that's like, it's gonna be okay. Like everything's gonna. But it's like in reality, like shit sucks sometimes, and like as men, I think it's been way more normalized for us to internalize our feelings, and to suppress them and try to suppress them, and that's why, I always say, like, you never really get rid of feelings unless you like feel them. So like, if you're just constantly pushing shit down, at some point you're going to explode. And like, we've all had that situation happen where you snap on your dog or your cat or your significant other or your mom or your dad or someone in your life, and then you calm down, and 30 minutes later and you're like, fuck, why did I say that? Why did I snap? Why did I talk to them like that? Or why did I do that? And it's because we've been trying to suppress all of these feelings, and the shit that you chose not to work on just exploded out in that moment. Whereas like when we are intentional and we can create some space, like we might not solve the problem, but at least you're like getting it out of you and putting it somewhere else. So whether it's speaking on a podcast or writing in a journal, like that's why it's so powerful, because it's like it's taking it from out here where you just ruminate and just add and stack shit on top of shit until it explodes, and it just gets it out, and you can at least, like we'll be able to go back and watch this. That's another part about a podcast, is you get to hear your voice saying these things. So it's either going to like reinforce what we're saying, or like show us like how something we need to change, or like a pattern maybe that like we'll notice, like a pattern of thinking or a pattern of a way we talk that's going to reveal something, but it's about like exploring, but then intentional space, I think is the key. And so I try to get across to men, like, examples, like just, I think that's one of the toughest part is creating that space. It's really easy to be like, you good, bro? And just, that's it. And then what the fuck is the answer to that question? Like, yeah, I'm good. Sweet. You just gave them an out. Like, like if you notice someone's not fucking good, don't ask them if they're good, or if you say you're good, follow it up with like, because I noticed you are a little off, or you've been quiet, or you've been distant, or whatever. It's the context, and that we need. And yeah, man, it's a lot. And this is like something I'm really passionate about, because it's the shit I've struggled with the most in life. Like our stories, like this fucking podcast could be 6 hours long. Like, could go
I know. That's what I keep thinking is like, whoa, should we talk about our entire like history about who we are right now, or should we save that? I think we should save that like for individual separate podcasts or whatever, episodes, whatever you want to call it. I think this initial one is probably should be short and just kind of what we're going to do, like what to expect from it. Because like what you're saying, I'm excited to see the growth. Because we're going to look back at this first episode and just be like, it's going to be funny. Well, I think that's one thing I notice. I can't stop laughing. I keep, even when you're sitting there talking about serious stuff, I'm hearing you like 100%, but then it's sometimes I just like can't believe why we do. It's like whatever, but it's no, it's going to be exciting. I think it's going to help us probably more than anybody, but there's probably going to be other people that hopefully see it and can kind of relate or just pick up something like we were talking earlier. So about
feel less alone, man.
Like,
this is the normal shit. Like that's like, go ahead.
No, I was just saying, I think people will start noticing that when we start talking about our stories, they can, because right now we're just two random people talking about why we're starting a podcast, but there's our whole backstory is kind of why we're starting the podcast. And I think when we get into that, it's going to make more sense to people. I keep talking about people like we have like 100,000 followers.
It's manifestation, man. We're manifesting. Like that's
true.
That's what it is, man.
Bro, because it's gonna be interesting. It's gonna be fun, like you said. I don't know. Hopefully, it'll be educational. So, but yeah,
man. That's it.
Yeah. So, what do you think? So, how should we do this going forward? We've had many conversations about this. I mean, we kind of talked about it already. We kind of know, but like, what's the format kind of gonna be like?
Like that's a good
future.
Good question. Well, so I think we both listen and read, on occasion. I definitely listen more than I read. If people say they read, like audiobooks count as reading, like I still am like, I don't know if like I still.
That's a good question.
Yeah. Because people say like I read that book, and it's like, well, I listened to that book, so it's like, did I read it? Whatever. Like
I think it counts. I'm gonna. Count
it counts. You definitely get. Yeah. I mean, it's like if I listen to a book, I usually get like a few solid points that I'll remember, and like if I read a book, it's kind of the same thing. Like you go back.
Yeah.
What that book? What do you remember from that book? And you'll remember like a few key ideas.
Yeah, when I like to have the book while I'm listening to it.
Yeah.
I don't know. I can pick it up a little better, I suppose.
Yep.
But I'm also not the brightest bulb, so it's like
man, don't say that.
Well, yeah, but I'm just being honest. Like I don't have the any education.
We are no experts here. Yeah. We could have prefaced this whole beginning of everything. Like,
yeah, I try to mention that we should have put a warning.
Yeah,
but no, I'm gonna go with, if you listen to the book, it counts as reading.
Yeah, so I feel that.
Made the decision.
Yeah,
but that is something we talked about. Is like reading a book and then kind of talking about that, what we picked up, something small from it.
Yep.
Every week we'll probably read a chapter a week or whatever.
Yep. I know. Just review. Could be more. Could be we might read our own books. You know, we're still refining like exactly, but the point is to come every podcast with new ideas or something we were working on or something, you know, whatever it is. If it's a quote, you know, like I got a couple quotes that I heard on other podcasts, you know, that I just like stimulate thoughts and ideas and stuff we're going through. And, you know, so that's like, we're both going to be doing that throughout the week. We're going to be taking note of anything that we might want to mention or like a good idea or some talking point. And so that'll be part of it, you know, and then I think giving examples of like, I don't know, I would like to do it like off the podcast, kind of like what we did tonight, like have like a conversation and then we go on to the podcast, you know, so we can kind of keep some stuff private for now, you know, like until we figure out how we best want to present the more difficult topics to talk about and like the day-to-day, you know, struggles. It's figuring out how vulnerable, you know, how open we want to be about everything. And, you know, I want to be open, you know, like, but it's, some stuff we're going to need time. We're learning how to do this, you know, and I know for a fact, like I heard something that was like, don't talk about something, like don't talk about anyone that you haven't talked to them about it, you know, or like something like that. So like, don't talk about situations. Like I could bring up an example of something that was a shitty situation and what I learned from it. But if I haven't talked to that person and like had that conversation, then it's like, they might hear this. And then that's just a fucked up way to like, and that's part of like being a, you know, better person, better man, you know, is like, you know, having those difficult conversations. So the format will kind of be like reviewing either the book that we're reading, give a short little, like, what did we learn? You know, what anything that popped up. And then anything from any podcast or any other places or talking points that we want to just like deep dive into. And then I think kind of just letting the conversation roll. I think we will be able to, like, it's already been almost a half hour. Like we'll be able to like roll on ideas and that,
talk about our week, some of the actions we've taken, or like even big events that happen that are pushing us towards our goals, and like stuff like that. Well, we should probably make a bunch of goals too.
That's the process, right? Like we're going to be talking about our process and how we're refining our process. I think that's what this is going to be. It's like us figuring out what's the best way for us to, because we've kind of touched it all in the last, you know, 9 months to a year. Like we've set goals. We held each other very accountable. Like we had like weekly goals and monthly goals and quarterly goals. And, you know, we've kind of like been really disciplined and then fallen off and then been really disciplined and fallen off, you know, and like we've tried a bunch of different things. And I think this podcast will be kind of the inspiration platform to keep that going and then keep refining it. And, you know, hopefully with the hopes of like inspiring others of like, this is some shit we're trying now, you know, and like something that, you know, like, and then when we come back to it the next week, then we talk about like, is this something we want to like implement into our daily life or schedule or whatever, or is it something that we need to let go of or whatever, and like constantly refining that process, because that's like what life is. It's just like a bunch of fucking processes, you know, of like how best to prepare yourself for life, how best to prepare yourself to show up best for your job, how can you get your job done, you know, like it's like all goal setting and then like accomplishing the goal and creating like reward systems to like keep pushing yourself to do things a little past your comfort zone, so that you keep evolving and keep growing, and that's what we're going to be doing, so yeah, it's like all long-winded explanations, and it's kind of loose, but that's like the point. We could have spent a whole nother fucking month planning this shit and like trying to make it perfect, but that's not what this is.
No. So every time we talk, it's kind of like, well, we should have recorded that.
Yep. Yep.
So it's
because there's something, there's something in there for someone, and that's like, that's the old saying, the old adage is like, if it helps one fucking person, it was worth it. And like, if we make 20 of these, like, it'll probably help something in those 20 episodes will help one fucking person, but I guarantee you it will be more relatable than, we imagine. I'm sure there's millions of people, there's 60 fucking million podcast, however many podcast, but there's not a lot that lasts a long time, and like, that's why this is going to be it's our podcast. It's not for everyone else. Like, this is a space for me and you to talk openly, and then, with the intention of other people listening to it, but it's something we've been doing offline for, 9 months plus, like every week and almost a year, consistently, like communicating. And it's helped a lot, and that's, we can get into our stories and shit, like, but big changes have happened, like just small thing. Like, you moved from Minnesota to Charlotte, like, and that's just gave away where we are.
But you're gonna find us.
Well, there we go. But that move came on the back of like all of this fucking work that we've done with each other, and like, we moved in together at 31 and 36, like, not ideal times to be living with people, like, but because we wanted to be around each other more, to hold each other accountable, because we know we're capable of doing more and becoming better than we've been, and like, we need that healthy pressure, and we also need the kind reminder of like, we're doing a good job, and like, we are accomplishing things, and like, it's so easy to beat ourselves up, but it's like, it's finding the balance, and that comes back to the name of the podcast. The middle way is like, there's ebbs and flows of life, there's always highs, there's always lows, and it's like, what can we do to stay more in the middle, be stoic, be in control always, no matter how, when it's a celebration or when, something's going catastrophically wrong in your life. You don't want to be the person that's, like, fucking freaking out, happy beyond themselves, and just only because of what's going to happen is a few days later, when all your friends aren't around, or that event or that thing ends, you're going to fucking dip, and that you're going to be at that peak, and the higher the peak, the farther the dip and the harder the fall. And like, that's depression, that's anxiety, that's, all of these things. Like, it's because we're fucking doing this constantly, and we never really talk about how to like stay even keel, and that is the middle way, is like, we're trying to find the middle way, as at the same time as being in the middle of this fucking transition. So it's kind of like dual meaning.
I like it.
Tied that shit in. Woo!
It is. It's going to be special for us, I think, for sure. We'll look back at this, but just, I mean, it's already been great living here and moving down here. I mean, I wouldn't say, living with you, I have had zero problems. Like, but that big commitment, like, I still haven't felt like I made the wrong decision. I'm not expecting to feel that way, but it's weird. Like, I left everything I knew, everything. I never lived anywhere else, and now I'm down here in this new city and everything. But that's because we're here to go on this journey, like, together, like, find that middle way. Like, that's what we're here to push each other to do. I think that's what this is going to be. Everything we do, it's already, I don't know. Like you're talking about, like I mean, I was feeling good, and then my truck has an issue. I got to spend a bunch of money on that, so that kind of sucked. And today I was in, pissy mood until now. Doing this it's helped. Helps talking. It's a great example. And I like excited just to work on all this stuff. Like I don't know really anything about recording or video, or I know how to upload a video to YouTube. So, but I don't know how to like edit it or anything. So like everything's gonna be learning. Like we got to create a YouTube or a Facebook page or something, or what's that other one? Instagram. Yeah, catch us on there. Send us likes. That's what everybody asked for, right?
Likes. Yep, like and follow the page.
Yeah,
like doesn't exist.
Subscribe. Yeah, it's gonna like and subscribe
on YouTube.
Follow.
Yeah. Like
okay.
Yeah. Like subscribe, follow.
Yeah, I plan on putting it on YouTube, and I don't know. Yep. I think the platform we're using goes right to Spotify, so that could do a Spotify page. Why not? I don't know.
Yeah, we should try to get them on at least Spotify and Apple Music if we can, but we'll figure that out.
Yeah,
just across the board. This is like I need to talk to a few people that I've been on a couple podcasts, so like, it's easy to just reach out. I don't even know why I haven't done that yet, but
we haven't really just made one. So
yep. So yeah, it's just getting. And that's what this is. It's like it's a work in progress, and it always will be. And like we're gonna get better at this, So
yeah.
If anyone sees this, like just stick with us. I swear.
Oh, yeah.
It's gonna be. I you gotta believe it before you see it. Like it's the law of attraction. It's being, like putting it out there, like, and that's what we're doing. It's. I feel this is like a long fucking time coming. Like I've been thinking about a podcast for probably 5 years.
5 years.
That I've been just like, yeah, that would be a good idea, because I had conversations with friends where it's like 3-hour fucking conversations, and you're just like, yeah, that would have been a cool podcast. Like we talked about a lot of shit that like would probably help people, because a lot of people are going through similar stuff, and why not record it, and like we have the technology, and it creates that space for us to both feel that healthy pressure to keep moving, like, yeah, like I want to do this next week. I'm already thinking about next week's podcast, and like, want to show up, and both of me and you, like both of our biggest thing is like getting back on the horse. Like we're definitely like perfectionist mindset, and like that gets us into this procrastination shit, and like gets us into this like easy to like talk ourselves out of shit, and easy to like fall off and like keep ourselves. And then we're both very good at negative self-talk. And, these are some of the things we've been working on over the last year. And yeah.
Yeah, we are good at some things. They're all bad for us, but
yeah. Yeah. Well, that's it. Like we all have, I believe that most people like are held back by things that happen in our childhood, but like it was like either something we got too much of or not enough of, and it can kind of all be rooted back to that, so it's, as adults, we have to like consciously take the time to go back and unbox shit that happened in our childhood that like created these habits that keep us safe. Like that's what a lot of self-sabotage is habits that we formulated as kids to have control in an environment that we didn't have control in, and that's like, it served us when we were kids because it kept us safe. It was familiar, whatever it was. And overeating, for me, and, like staying up late, like, and, like all these things like can be linked kind of to an uncontrolled environment as kids. And there are things that are still present. Like we're fucking in our 30s, and like still have habits like that hold us, like not hold us back. They're holding us back, a little bit, but like still have habits that are rooted in 7-year-old versions of ourselves, just trying to fucking make sense of the world, and that's deep shit, and that's hard, and like that's hard to face, and like that's looking at the truest mirror of yourself, is going back and doing that work. That's a lot of people like on podcasts, they talk about doing the work, and like that's the fucking work that they're talking about, is like sitting with yourself, asking yourself hard questions, being like introspective questions, that journaling with yourself like about hard shit, and unboxing some of these fucking deeply rooted programs that don't serve you, but you're super attached to, and yeah, I think information helps a lot with like changing the way you think and like changing habits. It's like, it's one thing to like know something isn't good enough, like good for you, but then like to know exactly why it's not good enough for you, good for you, and like it hurting you, and exactly why, like it's just like another level of motivation, another level of like inspiration to change. And that's why we're fucking in each other's lives too, is like keep a lot of that shit present, because it's so easy to like get caught in the monotonous, so like the routine of the world. You get up, you gotta get your paycheck, so you gotta go to work, you gotta do this thing, and then you just want to like zone out, and like just fucking not think, and then it's like that time after work, like is crucial to like fucking, if you want to become better, like that's the time. And like it's difficult, and if we can be examples of like that struggle, that's real, and like just keep fucking moving forward, man. So getting back on the horse, that was what I started the whole thing with. But yeah, just you can fall off the fucking horse as many times as you want, like, but just keep getting back on. You're gonna fuck up. You're not gonna, like, perfectionism, like it's such a silly fucking thing, because you can't be perfect. Like it's impossible. So you're setting yourself up for failure in every single fucking situation, because you want it to be perfect, and you'll never be able to achieve perfection. So it's just going to eat you up unless you're aware of that, so that it can push you to greatness. And I think that is a trait that like a lot of successful people have, is like this perfectionism, this like harping on the little things, like refining it, putting in the long hours to fucking do the shit that no one else wants to do, and it's beautiful in some sense because it creates greatness. I think of like Michael Jordan and like Kobe Bryant, like their work ethic, their routine, their gym routine, like they're crazy, like just being known for outworking everyone, and like, but at the same time, they have that mind for everything else in their life, not just fucking basketball, so you're constantly like, I could be a better I could be a better person. I could be you're overanalyzing every part of your life. And if you don't work on controlling that, it can eat you the fuck up, and it's so real. Like, and that's like, I think what a lot of like, it's just, I know it's what a lot of people, especially athletes, struggle with, like, but it's
not an
just
athlete,
real.
But I'm not an athlete, but you described exactly like what
you were.
I was not. I'm a beer league softball player, athlete. Does that count?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, you nailed it though. So yeah, that's like, I think my role is just here to support you, and a lot of like with this podcast, at least, like all that shit you just said. It like makes perfect sense to me, but I couldn't say it. It's crazy. And like you said, like, time to time I'll go on a tangent, but yeah, man. Anything else you want to talk about today, or do you want to keep this one kind of short, or do you want to? We can go. There's so much stuff we could go into. But
yeah, fuck yeah. Well, I got one quote that I think would be cool, because it kind of sums up where not sums up, but it gets a little like window into where we're at. Kind of, yeah. I don't know.
Yeah,
Heard it on podcast. Chris Williamson. It's the Modern Wisdom podcast, one of the most famous podcasts out there.
I've never heard of it.
Yeah, he's fucking awesome. I've sent you some of their shit.
Yeah.
The Diary of the CEO and him, and Diary of the CEO is fuck God, Stephen Bartlett, and Chris Williamson. Okay. They're both like British dudes, and like they're fucking amazing interviewers. Like they're super inspiring. But yeah, I heard this on he had just had like an episode where he's kind of going over every 100 episodes. He does like a review of the last 100, and like it was like 16 of the most major thoughts. Yeah, it's fucking sweet. I'll send it to you. And this was like the first 90 seconds of the fucking like the first thing he wanted to talk about in the last 100 episodes, like that they've come up with, and it's this quote by this guy Tim Evans, like reiterated this quote by Montesquieu. I don't know who that is. So we're gonna work on the Googling later down the line. But so yeah, the quote is if you only wish to be happy, this could easily be accomplished. But we wish to be happier than other people, and this is always difficult, for we believe others are happier than they are. And it says, Montesquieu said this 300 years ago, and we are still working on this one. So I'll just read it one more time. So if you only wish to be happy, this could easily be accomplished. But we wish to be happier than other people, and this is always difficult, for we believe others are happier than they are.
Why'd that hit you so hard, you think?
Because it's a lot of reasons, but to tie it into everything we kind of been talking about is oftentimes we're, listening to podcasts or listening to people or watching things on social media, people at the top of the mountain, and like we're seeing them post about all this positive shit, and it's like, what do we naturally do? We compare ourselves, so it's like, I think what he said after his, like Chris Williamson said after reading this quote was like you're constantly comparing like your beginning to their fucking like end, like, and he said, you're constantly comparing your life to someone else's highlight reel, because that's what social media is, right?
Yeah.
It's a fucking highlight reel of life. You don't see the grind. You don't see the fucking sleepless night. You don't see the stress and anxiety these fucking influencers are going through. Like, you don't see these things like the work that they're actually putting in, like to create the following and success that they have, like all these things, so like we're easily just like thinking like, man, they got that fucking life. Like this 26-year-old is making $10 million on fucking TikTok. Like, what the fuck am I doing with myself? And it's like, if we just didn't even have that, like, imagine if none of that shit existed. All you had was you to compare yourself with. We would all fucking be so much happier, because we would just be able to see, oh, I've gotten better over the last year. I've improved as a person in pretty much all aspects of my life. But like, I'm constantly looking at people who are fucking 30 steps ahead of me, and I'm like judging myself from that place, so it's like, it just hit me hard of like, like it was a dude that said the shit 300 years ago. And it's like so applicable today still, and that's like,
that's wild about a lot of these like quotes you hear from a lot of those thousands of years ago, and it still makes sense today. But sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, no, that's exactly like, we're the same.
We're humans.
People have not changed very much. Yeah.
We're people.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
And that's like, and we all deserve to be happier, like it's like, it's a fleeting thing, like, and this is like, there's a lot of conversation around being happy nowadays because people are so fucking miserable. Like, so there's a lot of experts talking about how to be more happy and like how to, whatever, like take a dopamine detox, and like, cause all this shit is designed to keep us sad and keep us feeling insecure, so that we buy more shit, so that we want to buy the thing that the influencer is wearing, or that they're doing, or the light that they're using, or the camera that they're using, or like it's all just like this created fucking system to like feel insecure, inadequate, and not enough, so that you fucking purchase all of this bullshit. And it's just like, we all just need to take more time with ourselves and just like stop comparing ourselves to everyone, and like we would all be fucking happier, like just doing that alone, like just straight up just like not looking at social media. Like I fucking feel better, like, like right. And it's crazy because like with the podcast, like it's like I want to push the podcast, and like that means any business now is like you gotta have a social media, but I'm conflicted because like it's fucking miserable, man. Like
we're anti-social media.
Yeah, but we got to use it. And
the happiness thing, I think I'm happy even, but I don't know. And that's a tough one for me because I want to be happier. I always want to be happier. That's what everybody says. Yep. I think we also have kind of lost what it means to be happy too. Like, it doesn't take much, to be honest. Like really.
Yeah.
And I think, I don't know. Like I don't know to get it. Like I'm not gonna talk about it now, but we'll talk about it later on. But yeah, like being happy in like a relationship and life in general is important, but also is like I think it's just right there all the time. I don't like.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It's.
Yeah. Well, so this is what someone I heard recently talk about is like happiness isn't a destination, right? And that's kind of how we treat it. Like we think we're gonna reach this fucking point of like being happy, and that's not real. Happiness is like a feeling. Like it's a fleeting thing, no matter what. So you're never gonna truly like be happy. You only have like moments of happiness, right? But then like you can be content with like that and that. But that's like where I'm like still figuring this out and like understanding it with myself. But like that hit me hard of like, fuck, like you're constantly looking for a destination that doesn't exist. You know what I mean? Like it's like it does exist, but it's like it's a feeling. Like you can create feelings with thoughts. We're just really fucking good at creating shitty feelings with our thoughts.
Yeah.
But like imagine if we were able to think greater than we feel, and like create good feelings with our thoughts. And that's like manifestation. That's like the law of attraction. That's what these like Joe Dispenza, like that's who I've been listening to every morning now until I've dedicated to listening to Joe Dispenza tapes, videos, or YouTube videos every morning until I notice a significant change in my pattern of thinking. Because I'm not a fucking morning person. I'm always angry in the morning. I'm always like in a piss shit mood. And it's like his whole thing is like you have to be able to think greater than you feel. Because the only way to create a reality that's different than the one that you're in is to think yourself out of it. Like, think you have to be able to, fuck, man. Like, I gotta be able to explain this better. Yeah, it makes sense. Just the simple phrase of like, think greater than you feel. Everyone understands it. I'm just trying to like elaborate on that of like, it's like visualization. It's the same as like most people in this world, including us, we have to see it to believe it, and like the law of attraction, like is believing it before you can see it. Les Brown, famous speaker, talked about the easiest thing he ever did in his life was make $1 million. The hardest thing he ever did was believe that he could, believe he was worth it and worthy of making $1 million, like, and it's like without the belief, the fucking reality will never change, and that's like what we get stuck in is like these loops and these patterns and these this pattern of thinking that just keeps us in the same fucking place. And it's all just linked to like scarce-mindedity, social media making us feel insecure, like all of these things. And it's all just like this cycle of bullshit that keeps us feeling shitty, because feeling shitty has become our comfort zone. And like, we want to be comfortable. We still, oh, fuck, man. Yeah, I got some long winded on all this shit, but like, we have a brain.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, comfort zone. I know. I just like feel like I should be quicker with this stuff, but our comfort zone is it used to be a good thing. It used to serve us when we were hunter gatherers, because we needed to fucking be safe. So we have a brain that has been developed to keep us in our comfort zone, because back in the day, there was a shitload of threats. Like, you could fucking die from a bunch of different animals that don't even exist nowadays, and like, you know, all of this shit. Like, it was way harder to find food. It was way, you know, so the path of least resistance was the best path back in those times. And now the path of least resistance for us is the absolute worst path, because we have no fucking resistance. Like, we are pretty safe, you know, like, we are pretty comfortable. So, but we still have this brain that wants to keep us in that comfort zone, to keep us safe from all of this dangerous shit that doesn't exist. And that is what creates this like cushy fucking routine of just veg out on Netflix, you fucking endless doom scrolling on social media. You know, all of these things are just they're just a safe space, you know. And all of that, to bring it back to what we talked to at the beginning, was like, all of those things that we latch onto as adults are rooted in something that we developed to protect ourselves, most likely as a child, or avoid, you know, like whatever it was, like, as a child, you know. And that's really the work that we're trying to do, is take a mindset it's like the book Rich Dad Poor Dad. Like, I've listened to it, you've listened to it or read it.
I'm into it right now.
So. Yeah, it's like, it's just different mindset. Like, we're trying to take like a poor mindset and create a rich mindset, you know, like, and that's what we're doing by talking about this tough shit and like holding each other accountable and like, putting our thoughts together, you know. And like, it's all rooted in just trying to develop a new pattern of thinking, because the law of attraction is real. There's a thing in our brain that's called the RAS, the reticular activation system. It's the thing that, like, when you start noticing like you want to buy a certain type of car, you'll start seeing that car fucking everywhere. Or you like a certain pair of shoes, you'll start seeing that pair of shoes everywhere. It's because our brain is constantly filtering out our world to fucking because otherwise it would be just constantly overwhelmed with like, that thing's orange, that thing's green, that thing too, there's that, and like, you can't fucking operate through that. But there's literally a system in your brain that you can program to attract things into your life. So it's like, if we can be conscious of our thinking and our patterns of thinking and control our patterns of thinking, we can create things that we cannot fucking see yet, like, with our thoughts. And that's what manifestation, the law of attraction, like, there's all different types to having faith. Like, there's all different types of words for this phenomena that like has been proven countless times over and over, that like, you just got to fucking believe it and then it'll come. You don't know how it's going to come. You don't know how or when or what it's going to look like, but it's like believing it and then be willing to do the work, you know. And I think we're both willing to fucking do the work. We're kind of just throwing shit out there, see what sticks, see what fucking works for us, what doesn't, you know, and like, moving on. Like,
you hit it. Doing the work is the most important part of it too.
Yep.
It's 50-50, because we could sit here and talk all day, and
feels good to talk.
Yep. If we, at the end of the day, if you don't do anything, like, nothing's gonna happen. So but well, I feel good. I feel good about this. Do you want to add any? Do you have anything else you want to add? I think this is a good kind of intro to. I mean, to be honest, like, most of the podcast is going to be kind of exactly what just happened. Like, just going off on these. It's not a tangent. It's just kind of recognizing something and then talking about it. So
yeah,
I think
this
that
is
was
it.
good.
Yeah, yeah, that's what it is. I think, yeah, stick with it. We'll stick with it. Keep getting back on the horse, man. Like
Yeah,
that's the
don't
theme.
give up. Yeah, don't give up. Get back on the
Yeah,
horse. Pull up your
just
bootstraps.
yep.
All
Sometimes you
that
need the
stuff's
tough
true though.
voice, but yeah,
Yeah,
sometimes
yeah.
you need the hard voice, and it's just deciding what you need in that moment.
Mhm.
Sometimes we need to call it, get ourselves up and fucking push through the bullshit,
Yeah,
but sometimes we also need to be kinder to ourselves and take a
yeah.
moment to stop comparing and just reflect and look back
Mhm.
because everyone's fucking amazing, man. Like everyone
Yeah,
that it just to be alive is difficult, like in its own fucking right. To be a functioning fucking person without all this shit that's just bombarded into our brains nowadays, like it's hard, man. Like, and it's real. So it's just continuing to fight, fight back against the shit isn't good for you, and that's what we hope to be examples of. We're not going to be perfect. We're not perfect. We're not going to ever
yeah.
be perfect, but we're going to push each other and keep keeping each other accountable and